Every big name in show business came out for Kamala Harris, from Oprah to Clooney to Beyonce, and she lost every swing state. A survey of Ohio voters found Taylor Swift's endorsement actually had a negative impact, with 24% saying it made them less enthusiastic about her as a candidate.
Come on.
Read the room, Democrats. Celebrities aren't helping, and why would they? In a country where the big issue now is affordability, outside of, I don't know, Springsteen and a few others, celebrities don't strike people as relatable or in touch, and what their activism mostly activates is eye roll.
Bill Maher turns his criticism toward his own political side, strongly attacking Democrats for chasing empty celebrity fame. He says the strategy of using big stars to influence the 2028 national election is already failing badly. He explains his thoughts clearly, without holding back, without filters, and without apologizing. His comments are direct, explosive, and very blunt. Every single moment of his raw reaction has been captured. So make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already. And let's get started.
Stars, they're not just like us. They're just not. They fly private. They have 5 houses all over the world. They give their kids ridiculous names. They make candles that smell like they're... They wear crazy amounts of jewelry. They buy castles. They buy towns. They buy islands.
Maher says the Democratic National Committee is making a big mistake by focusing too much on celebrity endorsements. In his view, famous people live very different lives compared to regular Americans. Many celebrities are protected by wealth, fame, and special access to things most people don't have. They spend money easily while normal voters worry about rent, food prices, and the rising cost of gas. Maher explains that this huge gap makes celebrities poor representatives for a party that says it supports working families. Celebrities are not standing in long grocery store lines worrying about medical bills or feeling the pressure of inflation eating away at every paycheck. Because of that, when they speak to voters about what is best for the country, it can sound more like lecturing than inspiring. Maher warns that instead of winning support, celebrity politics can actually make things worse. It strengthens the idea that Democrats are disconnected from everyday struggles. Instead of convincing uncertain voters, these celebrity shout-outs often feel like rich elites talking down to ordinary people. According to Maher, that weakens the party's message and damages its credibility with voters across the country.
They show up 3 hours late for their own concerts, and people still go. Please, it's okay. You're stars. We like you for who you are. Insulated divas whose talent allows you to pig out on the finer things in life, because we all need something to aspire to. But being talented, which you are, isn't the same as knowing things or having the credibility to advise people on their politics.
This is where Maher becomes even more direct. He admits that celebrities are extremely talented at their jobs. But being good on a movie set or on a concert stage does not suddenly make someone an expert on politics, economics, or government policy. Just because a person can memorize lines, act convincingly, or fill huge stadiums does not mean they truly understand the daily struggles of voters or the complicated work of running a country. Maher says audiences sometimes mix up performance with reality, thinking that confidence on screen means real knowledge in the real world. Actors may play presidents, activists, or working-class heroes in movies. But when the cameras stop filming, those roles disappear. The real issue, Maher argues, is that politics sometimes treats performers as if they actually are the characters they play. That illusion might work in Hollywood, but in real life it leads to weak messages, misplaced trust, and political conversations focused more on celebrity status than real substance. In the end, Maher says it creates shallow assumptions that pretend to be informed leadership.
You rail against privilege, but you avail yourself of the greatest privilege of all, to remain clueless. Dave Chappelle lashed out at me last month because I called him out for saying there was more free speech in Saudi Arabia than here. Well, I was right. What he said was stupid. America has many problems, including free speech issues on both left and right, but we're real different than Saudi Arabia. If you don't believe me, try opening a lesbian art gallery there.
Maher pushes the criticism even further, sharply calling out celebrities who lecture the public about politics while, in his opinion, showing very little real understanding. He argues that fame can build a powerful bubble that separates many stars from normal life, because they live surrounded by managers, assistants, and luxury lifestyles. Many celebrities hardly understand what life is like outside Hollywood. According to Maher, they sometimes confuse applause with real knowledge. This distance can lead to extremely uninformed opinions being shared with complete confidence. To make his point clearer, Maher mentions comedian Dave Chappelle, who once suggested that there was more freedom of speech in Saudi Arabia than in the United States. For Maher, that comment perfectly shows the problem. Big political opinions built on weak facts. When celebrities speak, people listen closely. But Maher warns that listening to them does not always mean people are actually learning something useful. Instead of helping people understand reality better, celebrity commentary can sometimes distort it, leaving audiences confused, misled, and overly confident without truly being informed.
Ricky's right. Celebrities don't know about the real world. So Democrats, it's great, you have all the big celebs, but people see them as an arm of the Democratic Party, which they already suspect for lacking common sense. I know the celebrities mean well, and we thank them for having their heart in the right place, but just do you. Do what you do so well. Use your extraordinary talents for the noble cause of bringing relief from the problems that ribbons and pins can't fix. I know it's very important to you that you feel that you're making a difference, so let me assure you, you are. You're making independents vote Republican.
Maher says independent voters can quickly notice when something feels fake. According to him, many celebrity endorsements are not based on real-life experiences, but on public image and performative virtue meant to impress people inside Democratic circles. To many voters, it does not look like genuine concern. Instead, it looks like wealthy stars searching for applause and social approval. Maher believes this situation makes Democrats appear more like flashy performers than a serious political party focused on solving everyday problems. Rather than building real connections with ordinary Americans, the party can seem obsessed with image, popularity, and approval from Hollywood. Maher argues that this impression is especially harmful when it comes to independent voters, who care more about honesty than spectacle. When people feel like they are being lectured by individuals who have never lived through the same struggles, frustration grows quickly. In that situation, Republicans often step in and present themselves as more grounded and relatable, even if their policies might be questionable. In Maher's opinion, this cultural disconnect, not just policy disagreements, is what slowly pushes independents away from Democrats and closer to Republican candidates.
Now enjoy this fun photo collage of some of your favorite stars, politicians who speak about the need to reduce our carbon footprint, but who are always on private planes. That's right, all of them. If you don't see a celebrity's picture here, it's because we weren't allowed to use it. Or their series got canceled. But all the environmentalists of Hollywood and Washington do it. Their position on climate change is, we must do more to stop pouring carbon into the air, except for me when I want to go somewhere and then I take a private jet.
Maher then turns his frustration toward what he describes as clear celebrity hypocrisy, especially when it comes to environmental issues. He points out that many stars proudly present themselves as strong supporters of climate action. They often lecture the public about reducing carbon footprints and taking personal responsibility. But at the same time, many of these same celebrities frequently travel on private jets, which are among the most carbon-heavy ways to travel. Maher says the contradiction is obvious. It sends a message that the rules apply to everyone else, but not to the wealthy and famous. In his view, this kind of double standard destroys credibility. If someone does not live by the same values they promote, why should anyone take their message seriously? Maher believes this behavior increases the distance between celebrities and ordinary Americans who cannot afford private planes and already feel financial pressure. Instead of inspiring positive change, these contradictions often create frustration and strengthen the belief that celebrity activism is more about appearance than real sacrifice or responsibility.
Ed and Greta, that's who walks the walk. Everyone else is full of shit, and I'm done being full of shit. I can take being a bad environmentalist because almost all of us are, but I can't take being a hypocrite. Now, I always justified renting a plane because I only used it for work and literally could not get to most of my stand-up gigs on time any other way. How do you think I did it all those years? I said goodnight here at 8 p.m. and was on stage in Vegas at 10. But I don't need to do stand-up, like tomorrow night in Albuquerque.
Maher does offer a small bit of understanding. He admits that there are situations where celebrities truly need to travel quickly between multiple locations, and in those rare cases private jets might make sense. However, he draws a clear line after that. Not every trip is urgent, and not every event requires luxury air travel. Many of these trips could easily be done on regular commercial flights or even by car. Yet celebrities still choose to fly privately again and again simply because they have the option. According to Maher, that decision reveals the real issue. It shows convenience being chosen over genuine belief. If someone truly cares about protecting the environment, they would be willing to make small sacrifices from time to time. Instead, the constant use of private jets suggests that the activism often stops when personal comfort begins. Maher argues that this pattern increases public skepticism and makes celebrity environmental activism look less like a serious moral belief and more like a branding strategy that avoids real accountability.
And outside of heads of state, almost everyone else could fly commercial. Why don't they? Ask anyone who tried to get home for Christmas last year. And don't tell me the younger generation is better. They're not. They're just poorer. They're actually worse. This is who they look up to. The family where everyone has their own private jet. And kids love Bitcoin, which, to determine the value of, takes an amount of computer processing that uses more electricity than some whole countries. Kids could have rejected that, but they didn't. They love it. Why? Because they want to be rich. Why? So they can fly private.
Maher then shifts his attention to younger activists, criticizing what he sees as performative environmentalism among some members of the younger generation. He says many young people present themselves loudly as protectors of the planet. But in his view, this attitude is not always based on actually living in a more environmentally friendly way. Sometimes it simply reflects the fact that they cannot afford high-emission luxuries, such as private jets. Maher believes moral arguments become weaker when they are shaped by financial limits instead of real sacrifice. He also says this same generation often supports trends that quietly conflict with their environmental claims. One example he mentions is Bitcoin mining, which requires huge amounts of electricity and produces a large carbon footprint. Maher says his goal is not to attack young people personally. Instead, he wants to highlight the inconsistency. People cannot claim the moral high ground on climate issues while supporting practices that harm the environment. For Maher, this is another example of strong words moving faster than real-world actions, regardless of age.
No one can resist it. John Kerry is our climate czar, and he uses a private jet. It's like if the Secretary of Homeland Security smuggled drugs in his butt. People take jets to environmental conferences. If you could run TED Talks on hypocrisy, you wouldn't need coal.
Maher also makes it clear that his criticism is not only aimed at Hollywood celebrities. He also directs it toward politicians who promote big ideals, but rarely live by those principles themselves. In his opinion, the problem goes deeper than celebrity hypocrisy. He believes it is also rooted within the political system. Because of this, Maher says Democrats are facing a serious credibility problem from two sides. On one side, celebrities loudly support moral causes while living lifestyles that contradict their statements. On the other side, politicians repeat the same slogans but fail to demonstrate honesty and consistency in their own actions. The result, Maher argues, is a political party that can appear distant, overly performative, and increasingly difficult for ordinary voters to trust. When people notice that actions do not match the words being spoken, they eventually stop paying attention. Voters are not searching for catchy slogans or virtue signals. They want real proof. Until Democrats deal with both sides of this issue, celebrity hypocrisy and political inconsistency, Maher believes their message will continue to sound empty.
But sorry, not sorry. I tried to do my part for the environment. I never had kids. The one thing worse for the planet than private jets. It's true, because then they have kids. I had the first generation Prius in 2001. It looked like a Tylenol gel cap. I was always handing my keys to valets who were driving a better car than me. I had the first Tesla in 2010, and honestly, both these cars suck.
Looking at the situation as a whole, Maher's criticism paints a very harsh picture for the Democratic Party. He believes the heavy reliance on celebrity politics has actually backfired, exposing a wide gap between elite voices and everyday Americans. When celebrities promote values they do not follow themselves, and politicians repeat those ideas without honest action, public trust begins to collapse. Voters, especially independents, can recognize the performance and often react negatively to being lectured by people who have never faced the same struggles they deal with daily. Maher's overall message is very direct. Politics is not an award ceremony. Fame, attention, and virtue signaling do not lower gas prices or help families pay their bills. What matters is authenticity. Maher argues that unless Democrats move away from Hollywood approval and rebuild real credibility in everyday communities, they will continue losing support to Republicans who appear more relatable and grounded. In Maher's view, the answer is actually simple. Stop performing for attention, start listening carefully to voters, and truly live by the values you claim to support. And with that, we wrap up today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more updates.